Captain Eva Rostova lived by one rule of salvage. A damaged ship is a payday. A perfect one is a trap. The Stillwater was perfect. It hung in the black, a gleaming white spear that had simply stopped existing 8 weeks ago. Now it was back, broadcasting nothing. No screams, no warnings, just the faint automated pulse of its docking beacon. "Eva, the hull is immaculate. Life support is nominal." Kenji Tanaka's voice crackled, vibrating with the kind of youthful curiosity that gets veterans killed. It's beautiful." "It's a lie," Eva muttered, her own ship, the Mary G, groaning in protest as it approached the pristine airlock. Docking was sickeningly smooth. The Mary G clanged into the pristine airlock, and the Stillwater didn't just let them in. It welcomed them with a soft hiss of air that smelled faintly of lavender. They stepped into a grand atrium. A piano melody drifted from unseen speakers. Tables were set for dinner. A half-full glass of amber liquid sat on a bar, its contents perfectly still. 2,000 souls vanished mid-toast. "Kenji, the logs," Eva commanded, her hand already resting on the worn grip of her obsolete kinetic sidearm. "That's the problem," he murmured, his face pale in the glow of his slate. "They're not corrupted. They're a single, solid block of data, a wall of noise, but it's structured. It's like the entire ship recorded one single deafening sound and it never stopped." Eva looked away from the data, scanning the empty hull. She saw it then, just for a fraction of a second, a shadow detaching itself from a doorway, turning its head and dissolving like static. She blinked. The recycled air. "Find the bridge! Find the engine! Now!" The silence of the Stillwater was a physical weight. It pressed against their ears, a thick, velvet curtain absorbing every sound. Eva Rostova and Kenji Tanaka stood in the grand atrium, a space designed to inspire awe, but which now only inspired dread. A multi-tiered chandelier, crafted to look like a captured comet, hung suspended, its crystalline facets refracting the soft, ambient light onto empty chairs and polished floors. The air, perfectly climate-controlled, carried the faint synthetic scent of lavender and ocean spray. "I'm heading to the bridge." Kenji's voice was too loud in the stillness, and he immediately lowered it to a murmur. He adjusted the data slate on his forearm, his gaze already distant, captured by the digital ghost in the Stillwater's machine. All local networks are open, unprotected. It's like they left the front door wide open. "Don't," Eva said, her voice a low rasp. "Don't assume they left. Assume they're still here, just not in a way we understand." Her hand rested on the grip of her kinetic sidearm, an archaic comfort in this place of seamless, silent technology. "I'll sweep the upper passenger decks, check the habitation zones. You find those logs. Comms on, standard channel." Kenji nodded, his eyes bright with a dangerous, intellectual fervor. He saw a puzzle. Eva saw a tomb. He moved off toward the central lift bank, his steps muffled by the plush carpeting. Eva went the other way, toward the Soul-class staterooms. Her boots clicked heavily on the marble floor before she too reached the carpeted corridor. The ship was vast, a floating city for the impossibly wealthy. Here, the horror was not in decay, but in preservation. In one stateroom, the door stood ajar. She nudged it open. The bed was perfectly made. A data slate sat on the nightstand, its screen dark. In the small ensuite, a sonic brush sat in its charger, and a silk robe was draped over a chair as if its owner had just stepped away for a moment.
but the air was cold, sterile. She backed out, not touching anything. Further down the hall, a child's playroom was lit from within. She peered inside. Holographic stars twinkled on the ceiling. A small stuffed bear sat on the floor, its glass eyes staring at the doorway. It was not discarded. It was not thrown. It was placed, as if in the middle of a game that had been interrupted by nothing. She heard a whisper and spun around, weapon raised. There was nothing there. Just a holographic projector cycling through advertisements for the ship's spa. A vibrant, smiling woman invited her to experience zero-G tranquility. The hologram flickered, just once. A single frame of the woman, her face blank. Eva blinked. It was gone. The smiling woman returned, trapped in her own loop. "Bridge is secure," Kenji's voice crackled in her ear, pulling her back. "Eva, this is... wow, it's pristine. No sign of a struggle, no system failures. The nav computer thinks it's still on course." "What about the logs?" Eva asked, walking faster now, away from the playroom. A pause, filled with the sound of rapid digital typing. "That's the thing. It's just like I saw from the Mary G. The logs aren't deleted. They're fossilized. The entire databank from the moment of the incident onward is one solid encrypted block. It's not noise. It's structured, like a single, infinitely complex note." He sounded frustrated, but exhilarated. "I'm running a deep forensic analysis, trying to find the source of the data right. Whatever happened, it happened fast, and it wrote over everything." Eva moved through a lounge. Glasses sat on tables, half full of liquids that had long since separated. "Ken, I don't like this. The ship is too clean." She ran a gloved finger along a brass rail. "No dust. The cleaning drones are still active." "That's just automated systems, Captain. The ship is just doing what it was programmed to do. It doesn't know anything's wrong." "That's what's wrong," she muttered. She stopped at a large viewport. Outside, the blackness was absolute, save for the distant pinprick of a star and the dull gray-blue hull of the Mary G tethered to their flank. She felt impossibly small. For a second, looking at her own reflection in the thick-paned glass, she thought she saw someone standing behind her, a tall man in a uniform. She turned. The lounge was empty. The hair on her neck stood end. She was seeing things. It was the air, the silence, the expectation of a threat. "Eva, are you still there?" "I'm here." She shook her head, forcing the paranoia down. "Keep working. I'm heading for the engineering sublevel. If the bridge is a dead end, the engine core might have its own data recorder." "Wait," Kenji's voice was sharp. "Wait, I've got something. I was trying to crack the block, but I decided to scan around it. I found a loose data packet, an audio file kernel stuck in the system's buffer. It's not part of the main log. It looks like it was recorded by the engine's diagnostic system, not the bridge." "Play it," Eva commanded, her hand tightening on her weapon. There was a click, then silence. Then a sound filled her earpiece. It was not a scream. It was not a voice. It was a sound. A deep, impossibly low, resonant hum. It was beneath a human audible frequency, but her suit's audio boosters pitched it up, making it sound like a colossal, multi-tonal bass string being plucked in a cathedral. It was almost musical, a chord, complex and shimmering. "That's it?" Eva asked, underwhelmed yet deeply unsettled. "Listen," Kenji insisted. "It's a pattern. It's not just noise. And... oh my God! What? The timestamp, Eva. It's not from 8 weeks ago. It's current. That file is being recorded right now." He paused, and I could hear the dawning realization in his voice. "That's the experimental drive down in the core. It never shut down."
The hum vibrated not in Eva's ears, but in her bones. It was a presence, a low tectonic thrum that seemed to be the source of the ship's oppressive silence. The sound of the engine wasn't just noise, it was the active, resonant cancellation of everything else. "Ken, get off that system," Eva ordered, her voice tight. She began moving quickly toward the engineering lift. "If that drive is active, we are in an unsecured radiation zone. We pull out now. That's a containment and quarantine issue, not a salvage." "No, wait, the radiation levels are nominal." Kenji's voice crackled, distracted. He was lost in the data flow. "That's what's so strange. The drive is idling, but the energy output is massive. It's just not projecting. It's internal." "Eva, this isn't a propulsion system. It's some kind of field. The audio file isn't a recording of the drive. It's the drive using the audio system. It's trying to harmonize?" "I don't care what it's trying to do," Eva snapped. "We're leaving. That's an order. Meet me at the airlock." "Just 1 minute," Kenji pleaded. "I'm in the primary command module for the logs. I think if I send a hard reset query directly to the log server, I can bypass the fossilized block. It might dislodge the most recent file before the whatever it was happened. Just give me 30 seconds. I'm initiating the reboot sequence now." On the bridge, Kenji's fingers flew across his console. He sent the command. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the Stillwater responded. The lights in Eva's corridor did not go out. They blinked. It wasn't a loss of power, but a fluctuation, a brief, violent tremor in the ship's reality. The ambient lighting dipped from a soft, warm white to a cold, sterile blue, then back again. With the light, the hum in her bones surged, rising in pitch to an almost painful physical pressure. And in that second of fluctuation, the ship was no longer empty. Eva froze. Down the hall, in the entrance to the grand dining hall, they appeared, figures. Translucent, flickering, the color of old data and faded light. A man in a crisp uniform, a woman in an evening gown, her hand on his arm, a child holding a toy. They were not ghosts. They were after-images. They walked past Eva, through the very space she occupied, their faces serene, their movements smooth. They felt a chill, a profound internal cold as they passed. Then, as the light snapped back to their normal warm hue, the figures vanished. "Ken!" Eva shouted, her voice shaking. I see them," Kenji whispered, his voice full of a terrible, breaking awe. He was not in a corridor. He was on the bridge, but he was not alone. The bridge was full of them, flickering, silent officers at their stations, a captain in his chair, all of them translucent, all of them ignoring Kenji completely. They were all looking forward, intent on their duties. In the grand dining hall, visible from where Eva stood paralyzed, the scene was more defined. The room was full of light and motion, a man at a piano, his fingers moving silently over the keys. And at a table near the center, a woman in a shimmering silver dress. She was looking at the chair opposite her, a chair that was, to Eva, empty. The woman smiled, a slow, beautiful, heartbreaking smile, and raised her glass in a silent toast. Then the hum stabilized, the light steadied, and every single figure, all at once, dissolved. The Stillwater was empty again. The silence rushed back in, heavier than before. "Eva!" Kenji's voice was barely audible. "What was that?" Eva was already moving, sprinting back the way she came, toward the airlock. The silence, the emptiness, the perfect preservation, it all made a terrible new kind of sense. "We are leaving, now, not a minute, not a second. Get to the Mary G." She didn't wait for his reply. She ran through the atrium, past the bar with its half-full glass, and hammered the call button for the airlock. The outer door, the one leading to her own ship, remained stubbornly closed. The status panel beside it was dark. "Ken, the airlock's not responding," she yelled, cycling the controls. "Get down here. I need your slate to override it." A new sound, the clack, clack, clack of Kenji running, his footsteps echoing in the atrium as he raced to join her. He skidded to a halt, his face pale, his eyes wide with a mixture of terror and fascination. "It's not just the airlock, Eva," he said, breathing hard as he plugged his data slate into the wall panel. The slate screen lit up, then filled with scrolling lines of unreadable code. "The Stillwater system? It's not letting me in." "What do you mean?" "I mean, the open door is gone," he said, his fingers uselessly tapping at the console. "The system is locked. Security protocols I've never even heard of. It's aware of us. That reboot, it didn't just show us the logs, it showed us to the ship." Eva looked at the sealed door that separated them from the Mary G, from safety, from reality. She looked at the polished, silent atrium behind them, a place where the past was not just dead, but permanently, terribly present. They were not salvagers. They were no longer intruders. They were part of the collection.
"Useless," Eva snarled, striking the airlock's unresponsive panel with the heel of her hand. The dark screen didn't even flicker. "Hitting it won't help, Eva," Kenji murmured, his eyes glued to his data slate. He was cross-legged on the floor, wires snaking from his slate into a maintenance port. "This isn't a broken lock, it's a rewritten one. The ship's core OS, it's not just locking us out, it's built a new wall, and the blueprints aren't in any database I know." "Then find another way," Eva said, pacing. "Manual override, secondary EVA hatch, hangar bay. This ship has schematics. Find them." Kenji didn't look up. "I don't think we can fight our way out, Eva." He unplugged his slate, the cables retracting with a snap. He stood, his expression one of intense, unnerving focus. "This ship, it's not hostile. It's just complete. That reboot, it didn't just wake it up. It introduced us as new variables, and the system is trying to solve us, to archive us." "I am not going to be archived, Ken." "But that's where the answer is," Kenji insisted, his gaze drifting past her, back toward the ship's grand atrium. "That hum, that data block. It's not a prison, it's a language. The ship isn't keeping us in, it's inviting us." He began walking back toward the bridge. "Ken, where are you going? We stick together." He paused but didn't turn. "You find your door, Eva. I'm going to find the key. I'm not going to fight the system. I'm going to talk to it." Eva watched him go, a cold dread settling in her gut that had nothing to do with the phantoms. The young, curious rookie was gone, replaced by something else, a puzzle solver who had just found the only puzzle that mattered. "Kenji!" But he was already gone. She was alone. Cursing, she pulled up the Stillwater's basic schematic on her own suit's display. The ship was a city. The nearest manual override for an exterior hatch was in the primary cargo bay, 3 decks down. She chose the service ladders, refusing to step inside a lift. The ship felt more alive now, more aware. The hum was her constant companion, a low vibration that felt like it was just behind her teeth. As she passed the entrance to the dining hall, she saw the woman in the silver dress. The phantom sat at her table, stuck in her loop, raising her glass, smiling at the empty chair. Eva stopped, holding her breath. The woman's head turned. It was a slow, fractional movement, a glitch in the loop. Her eyes, pale and translucent, moved from the empty chair and settled not on Eva, but on the space Eva occupied. They stared, blank and incurious, for a full second. Eva's blood ran cold. Then the phantom flickered, reset, and was once again smiling at her absent partner. Eva ran. She took the ladders down, the metal rungs cold through her gloves. The hum was stronger here, closer to the engineering decks. She emerged into a long, white service corridor. As she pushed open the bulkhead door at the far end, an overwhelming, dizzying wave of déjà vu washed over her. "I've been here. I just did this." She physically shook her head, disoriented. The air. It had to be the recycled air, playing tricks on her mind. She reached for the next door's control panel. Her hand, in its heavy-duty glove, rested on the glowing green sensor. She watched, paralyzed, as her fingers, her glove, her entire hand shimmered. It became translucent, just like the phantoms, a flickering image of light and data. She could see the door panel through her own skin. She cried out, a short, sharp gasp, and snatched her hand back, clutching it to her chest. It was solid, opaque, just a hand. But she had seen it. The glitch. It wasn't just the ship. It was her. The ship was solving her. Her calm crackled to life. It's an architecture," Kenji whispered. His voice was a distant, full of a strange, breathless wonder. She could hear the faint, musical hum in the background of his transmission. "Kenji, get off the bridge! This thing it's infectious! It's doing something to me!" "That's because you're fighting it," he murmured. "Don't fight it. Just listen. The hum. It's the engine's operational schematic. But it's not a machine, Eva. It's a map of them. The 2,000 passengers. They're not dead. They're in the pattern. The engine didn't just trap them. It recorded them. Every moment, every thought, all at once. It's all still here. Ken, you're not making sense. Get off that bridge," he continued, as if he hadn't heard her. "I can almost see it. It's beautiful. It's forever." The line went silent, filled only with the faint, mesmerizing thrum of the drive. Eva ignored him. Panic had given way to a cold, hard fury. She found the manual override for the cargo bay doors. It was an archaic system, a last resort, a massive steel lever set into the wall designed to be operated by 2 crew members. She put her gloves on it, planted her feet, and pulled with all her weight. The lever didn't budge. She set her jaw, braced herself, and pulled again, her muscles screaming. A flicker of light beside her. She froze. A man had appeared. A phantom, dressed in an engineer's uniform, his face smudged with holographic grease. He too was braced against the lever, his translucent hands overlapping hers, his spectral body straining in the exact same motion. Eva didn't move. She barely breathed. The engineer turned his head, his movement slow and smooth, and looked directly at her. It wasn't the blank, empty gaze of the woman in the dining hall. This was different. There was no malice in it, no intelligence, just resonance. It was as if the ship, the pattern, had seen her action, pulling the lever, and had provided the corresponding memory, the missing piece. Eva recoiled, stumbling backward and falling to the metal deck. The engineer vanished. The lever remained, unmoved. Her suit comm crackled to life again. It was Kenji. His voice was no longer a whisper. It was calm, serene, and clear, as if speaking from a great, peaceful distance. "Eva, it's all right. You don't have to pull anymore. The door doesn't matter." Eva pushed herself up, her heart hammering against her ribs. "Kenji," she said, her voice a low command, full of ice. "What have you done?" I synced with it, he said. His voice was a melody, harmonizing with the ship's constant, quiet hum. I saw the pattern, and I fit. It's so simple. All this time, we were just noise. But now, I'm part of the song. It's beautiful, Eva. You should see it. You should join.
Kenji's voice, stripped of all personality, all fear, all self, echoed in Eva's helmet. It was no longer the voice of her crewmate. It was an instrument, one more note added to the Stillwater's all-consuming hum. "Kenji!" she yelled, scrambling to her feet, abandoning the useless lever. "Whatever it's telling you, it's a lie! Fight it! Talk to me!" "There is no fight, Eva," his voice replied, emanating from her comms and, she thought, from the walls of the ship itself. The sound was everywhere. The drive, it's not a failure. It's the ultimate success. They were afraid of time, afraid of loss, so they built a solution, an anchor. Eva was sprinting, ignoring the service corridors, clawing her way back up the emergency ladders toward the bridge. Her movements felt sluggish, her limbs heavy, as if the ship's very atmosphere were thickening around her. "What are you talking about?" she panted, her voice tight with exertion and dread. "It doesn't travel through space. It secures a moment in space. It was designed to flatten space-time, to make the journey instantaneous. But it did more than that. It flattened presence. It took the ship, the crew, the 2,000 passengers, and it made them permanent. It recorded them, all of them, every thought, every intention, every breath, all at once. It's not a log, Eva. It's an archive. The ship is a library, and the passengers are the books." "Kenji, you're not a book. You're a person. Shut it down!" She burst from the stairwell into the upper passenger decks. The glitches were more frequent now, more solid. A spectral crowd stood in the atrium listening to the phantom pianist, all of them caught in a silent, looping waltz. They turned their heads as one to look at her as she passed, a living, jarring, dissonant note in their perfect, silent song. She ran through them, the cold of their presence passing through her like a wave. "Shut it down!" Kenji's voice was full of gentle, melodic confusion. "You can't shut down forever. It's not a machine anymore. It's a state of being. They're all here, Eva. They're safe. They'll never age. They'll never be sad. They're just still. That's what the name means. The Stillwater. It's not a ship. It's a promise." "No!" She was at the bridge doors. They hissed open, revealing the cavernous, quiet space. The bridge was calm. The phantom crew were at their stations, their translucent hands moving over silent controls, their gazes fixed on the star-dusted viewport. The engine's hum was the only sound, a chord of infinite, peaceful finality. And at the central technology console, where he had first breached the system, sat Kenji Tanaka. He was bathed in the soft blue light of the screens. He was not struggling. He was not in pain. A faint, peaceful smile touched his lips. He looked like he was listening to a piece of music he had waited his entire life to hear. "Kenji?" Eva whispered, her weapon hanging forgotten in her hand. He turned his head, his movement preternaturally smooth. His eyes met hers. They were his eyes, but they were empty, clear and serene. He was looking at her, but seeing the pattern. "It's beautiful, Eva," he said. His voice came from his mouth, but also from the speakers, a perfect resonant harmony. There's no more noise. It's all part of the song.
Ken! No! Come back!" She took a step toward him. He smiled again, that faint beatific smile. Then he turned, slowly, back to his console, his fingers hovering over the screen. He was a man at work. "Ken?" Eva stopped. He turned to her. He smiled. "It's beautiful, Eva." He turned back to his console. And again, he turned to her. "It's beautiful, Eva." He turned back to his console. He began to flicker. He wasn't Kenji anymore. He was a new loop, a new recording. The Stillwater had finished its work, solving the variable he represented. His curiosity didn't just cost him his life, it cost him his present. He was an echo, just like the woman in the silver dress, just like the engineer at the cargo door. Eva Rostova stood on the bridge of the Stillwater, surrounded by the ghosts of 2,000 passengers and the brand new, flickering archive of her only crewmate. The hum of the engine was deep, resonant, and impossibly, dreadfully complete. She was finally, completely alone.
Eva didn't scream. The sound was frozen in her throat, crystallized by the same profound, terrible cold that ran the Stillwater. On the bridge, Kenji turned and smiled. "It's beautiful, Eva." He turned back to his console. The loop was set. The archive was complete. The hum in the ship wasn't just in her bones anymore. It was in her mind. It was a soft, persuasive, intrusive melody, and with it came a thought, clear and simple as her own. "It's so peaceful here. Why were you fighting? It's all so beautiful." She blinked. The thought wasn't hers. It had been placed there. She looked down at her hand, the one still clutching her obsolete kinetic weapon. It shimmered. It wasn't a brief glitch this time. It was a prolonged, steady fade. She could see the blue light of the bridge console through her own palm. The ship was accelerating the process. It was solving her, mapping her fear, her grief, and her defiance, and was now preparing the perfect, permanent place for them in its pattern. A hot, jagged, living spark of rage tore through the cold. It was a noise in the ship's perfect song. It was the sound of the present. "No," she whispered, her voice raw. "You don't get me." She turned and ran from the bridge. She couldn't save Kenji. She couldn't save the 2,000 souls. A horrifying, cold realization washed over her. She couldn't even save herself. Her thoughts were already beginning to stutter, to loop. "I have to get to the Mary G. I have to get to the Mary G." She stopped. She was already at the airlock, though she didn't remember the journey. Her mind was glitching. The door to her ship was meters away, a slab of honest, scarred steel on the other side of the Stillwater's pristine, locked portal. She was trapped, but her ship was still there, her beacon. Frantically, she slammed her own data slate against the bulkhead, forcing its short-range transmitter to its absolute limit, a desperate attempt to punch a signal through the hull. "Come on, Mary," she grunted. "Talk to me." The Stillwater system was too complete. It wouldn't let her send a message out, but the Mary G's systems were old, simple, and loyal. A green light flickered on her slate. "Connected. Comms," she panted, her thoughts fracturing. "Activate external beacon. Beacon active. Set transmission. Nearest shipping lane. Priority 1. Message." What could she say? Don't board? Ship is a trap? They would be dismissed as a derelict's data corruption. She needed a word that was not a description but a diagnosis, a word that was the horror. Message. Her own voice was starting to sound distant, melodic. Message. STILL. Just the word. Loop it. Indefinite.
Transmission active. Still, still, still. A wave of cold, final relief washed over her. She had done it. She had made a new noise, a warning. She sagged against the bulkhead, her strength gone. The hum in her head was louder now, a beautiful, welcoming chorus. It was so hard to think, so hard to fight. A thought, not her own, soft as velvet. It's all right. You're safe now. You can rest. She looked up. Down the long, perfect atrium, she saw him, Kenji. He was standing by the phantom piano, smiling that same serene, empty smile. He wasn't on the bridge anymore, or perhaps he was in both places. He beckoned to her. "It's beautiful, Eva," his voice whispered, not from her calm, but from inside her own mind. She turned her head one last time to look at the airlock door. In the polished, reflective metal, she saw her own reflection. She was pale, her hair matted with sweat. She watched, detached, as her reflection smiled. A slow, peaceful, beatific smile that was not her own. Her hand, the one that had just saved countless others, flickered, becoming transparent, then her arm. Her reflection didn't waver, even as the real woman behind it began to fade, her form dissolving into light and data. Her last living, present thought was of her ship, the Mary G., tethered to a tomb, faithfully broadcasting its one-word warning into the void. Then, Captain Eva Rostova was archived. The Stillwater was silent. The hum was complete. And far away in the dark, a new beacon began its lonely repeating song. Still, still, still.
The stories we tell are reflections of our deepest questions. If this journey into the void resonated with you, please consider supporting the channel. Your engagement allows us to continue exploring these profound mysteries and bringing more complex narratives to light. Thank you for listening.